All right, guys, Jasvinder Khalsa back with cryptocurrencyinvesting.news and coinfeast.com, and right now I've got the pleasure of speaking with Vignesh from Winjit and the VP of Sales. So, Winjit, thanks for taking some time to meet with us.
Good to meet you.
Glad to talk to you too.
Yeah.
So, I guess let's just start at the beginning. Tell me all about your company. Tell me what Winjit is doing.
So Winjit is a technology company having expertise in IoT, AI, and blockchain technology. We have been at the pioneer for some of the edge level solution that solves the last mile connectivity in a pursuit to provide rapid IoT deployment. So our main mission is to promote the autonomous machine in the world of industrial IoT through industrial IoT, and we have come up with our own platform called IoT Sense, which is around 2 years old, and we've done around 25 implementations across various industries, exciting use cases. As you know, as conventional industry, as smart buildings, you've got big buildings, to as dynamic industries like a greenhouse, and we've done exciting things. And compared to other platforms, what separates us is we've got some advanced features, like if you just turn around, we've got some data compression features that does real-time data compression, and we've got uniform data output that does real-time data normalization on the edge. So we're trying to redefine the role of the gateway, beyond being just a data aggregation tool. And interestingly, when it comes to IoT, we believe that an image or a video is equivalent to 1,000 words, and that's where our AI-driven computer vision comes into picture. And so, if you have some sensors giving information, it's too boring to analyze. But at the same time, if you have got videos and we could automate that triggers with the AI-driven approach, that just completes the entire loop, every form factor of your data. And if you now we have. When it comes to edge, there is always a tendency, and people and enterprises always have a resistance to storing their data on the cloud. So if you want to go for a serverless environment, we also integrate with some of the blockchains, Ethereum, and you could have these triggers driven by smart contracts. So we have integrated our platform with decentralized distributed ledger through blockchain also. So the sync mechanism happens to a blockchain or to a conventional cloud services.
I see. So it integrates with both and it's compatible.
Yes, and you could also write your own token algorithm also based on your use case. That will just you can also build your crypto economics on top of this platform.
I see.
Of course, in the realms of IoT.
Right. No, it's fascinating. There's a lot that I want to talk to you about in that case. In terms of the kinds of, let's say, the challenges or the problems in the marketplace around these issues, the specific innovations that you guys are bringing to the fore. What was the inspiration, and what was the, I guess, paint a picture for us of the kinds of problems that are being solved and the cost into the marketplace of not solving them, which is why you're doing what you're doing now.
Yeah. So if you see, when it comes to industrial and typically our focus being on IoT, what happens is IoT as a field has been there, the sensors have been there since last 50 years. And you've got big manufacturing facilities who have already invested huge capital on their machines. Just in the pursuit of making them digitally enabled, you don't go to them and say, uproot all your machines and use the new age machines. It's a big capex for them. So this is a very exciting challenge. Everyone wants to get into digital. They say data is the new oil. It's just a cliche. But how do you actually realize it without incurring huge capital expenditure? That's where we felt that was a sweet spot, wherein IoT Sense enables and can sneak into and enable legacy systems to come into mainstream with a digital, frame. That was a main motivation behind it, and we wanted to ensure that we have live use cases beyond the jargons. And especially when it comes to blockchain and IoT, there are tons of jargons and tons of initiatives.
Absolutely, as I've learned over the last 2 days.
These are solutions waiting for problems. So we believe that some of our use cases were perfect fit for these as a problem for these kind of technologies. That was our main motivation.
So how much of a role does the philosophy and the practice of decentralization play in your protocols and in the really like the nuts and bolts of what you're doing? Obviously, it's blockchain compatible, so there's definitely some overlap there. There's a lot of philosophical questions, or there's a lot of philosophical, I would say, topics raised with decentralization, and I'm wondering, your philosophy about that and what you see kind of trending moving forward in terms of.
I think the trend is, I think the trend is, at the end of the day, you have to ask the question, who will guard the guards? who will guard the guards? And the only answer is decentralization and distribution. So distributed ledger and decentralization gives that complete autonomy. Of course, performance has to be improved. But when the iPhone was first made, the first app that was made was the Fart app, not the Uber app.
Right.
So evolution will happen, optimization will happen. But if you see the way it is going, decentralization and distribution technology is here to stay. That's my personal opinion.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't have one person controlling everything. I think that philosophy is gone.
I think so. I think this idea of sort of like a single point of dissemination, to these sort of underlings in any sense, even if it's on a programming sense. I mean, when I was speaking with who is it? Wirepass, and he was talking about radio technology being revolutionized in the same way, where the nodes are self-aware.
Correct.
And they're aware of each other. So instead of having one central point to command everything else, and that being a bottleneck, they're all talking to each other.
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest misconception? I think there are many, but the main gaps in understanding with the public and even with sophisticated tech professionals who aren't, let's say, totally versed in IoT, blockchain, AI, etc. Where's the big kind of gap in understanding there?
I think the way people ask it, when I'll answer that question in a different way. When it comes to IoT, people feel that IoT is something that the device will start talking on its own. It's like a human being. It will tell, I'm not feeling well, I'm taking this way.
Right.
I think that's the expectation mismatch that used to happen earlier, but I think now people have realized that there is one misconception that needs to be clear. IoT is not a panacea for all you won't get overnight solution efficient. You need to have a complete thought process for this. When it comes to blockchain, I think with Bitcoin touching roof high, of course this we're talking in November 2017. If you see this video later on, and if it crashes, I won't take the risk. So it's beyond cryptocurrency. Blockchain is beyond cryptocurrency.
Absolutely.
At the same time, not every problem needs to be solved with blockchain. There might be some use cases which blockchain may not be a suitable solution.
That's right. Well, let's actually talk about that, because I think that there are a number of guys here today that I've spoken with who have a hybrid platform, and I think you guys have a hybrid platform too in a lot of ways, where this is compatible with what you might call like let's say a traditional or non-blockchain based data system, and then you've got the blockchain system, and I think it's good to talk about applications where even a traditional database model or data storage model is preferable or perform better than a blockchain model. But what would some of those be? I think it's worth talking about.
Typically, it would be the government services. Say I want to maintain my land records. There are some the countries which have implemented land records in a blockchain environment. But at the end of the day, the governments have to release that control, and it's a long shot. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you have to bring those government agencies. And when you're talking at the global level, there are countries who have not even computerized their data. They are still maintained in a register, the land records. These kind of services, overnight you can't tell them that you have to share this information with everyone. Right. And so it becomes involving multiple parties is a pain at times. Wherever in use cases where there are multiple stakeholders and you ask them to come together and contribute their set of data, blockchain, there's a big obstacle, so blockchain will not go beyond MVP stage. Whereas in cases where the central authority or the body has taken a decision, let's decentralize certain elements, certain operations for the sake of transparency, I think blockchain becomes a perfect use case for that.
Yeah, as you were saying that, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if you can decentralize something like, let's say, the criminal justice system. Right. I don't think. It's a very random example, but I don't think you can have a crowdsourcing voting system on, if someone should go to jail or not for robbing a liquor store. Right. It makes sense that someone is making rules. And some things are centralized.
Another point is when it comes to smart contract, we say it's a contract that executes by itself. But at the end of the day, humans are programming it. There is going to be the scope of litigation. How do I settle that?
Exactly.
Say we have entered into a deal, we enter into a smart contract. We feel you have interpreted in one way, I have interpreted in one way. The programmer who has programmed it has interpreted. How do I settle this litigation?
Right.
There has to be some sort of umpire sort of a thing.
I think so. And I think it's about kind of meeting in the middle and sort of finding a synthesis. In terms of machine learning and AI, I think that's a distinction that is lost in a lot of people, I think, understandably. Where's the Is there a meaningful difference between AI and machine learning?
Certainly yes. I would say AI is much bigger. It's beyond learning the data on its own, but it like a computer vision. It's AI through eyes. It's not always AI through processing the brain. You have got eyes also, which is AI. You have got ears also. What Amazon has done is a sort of a AI, with their Echo, and Google Home has done with its Echo. So, human being has got 5 senses. So artificial intelligence resides those 5 senses. So AI is much bigger. Machine learning, it has got it. Again, coming to machine learning also, it promises a lot, but you need to have fair expectations. You can't have, deployed in a retail mall when somebody comes, one person has just entered into a mall and you expect that you have all the history and you can have an output what this person is having. Human beings are crazy. We are not predictable. I might
I know, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you have got rational expectation with machine learning, things can be automated real quick, Something like I was discussing with someone, we have implemented one use case for buildings, I'm not supposed to take a dog in a playroom area. Conventionally, you would install a CCTV camera and the doorman would keep on watching the CCTV camera. Why can't I automate this? The camera itself detects a dog has been coming to a playroom area and I detect it. So these are the kind of value addition with the machine learning and AI promises and provides. I think once we start with this, I think then we go to the promised land where the Jetsons world.
Right. Hover cars and exactly. So in terms of the kinds of things that you guys have on the horizon that you're working on, developments or breakthroughs or even just challenges or anything that's exciting for you guys that's coming up that you're looking forward to.
So a couple of products which we should be launching next week is PredictSense, which is very interesting on the edge machine learning platform that allows data scientists to optimize to reduce some of the work they do normally in data cleansing. Typically a data scientist would spend around 80% of their time just cleaning the data. So with the PredictSense, it is an automated process with a small data set. You could select the right machine learning algorithms which you could apply. So that is a very cool product that we are planning to launch next week. That is called PredictSense. Another product which we have got is VisionSense. So like I was discussing, vision is a very key part. Image is equivalent to 1,000 words. Instead of analyzing my 1,000 set of inputs, one image, one video will give me tons of data. So we have come up with our own platform which you could deploy, machine vision algorithms on the edge level. You have the Google Cloud Vision, you have the Amazon recognition, but they are all on the cloud. When I want instant reaction, it has to be working on the edge level without, overcapaciting the hardware. So that is another product which we should be launching by end of this month.
Right. Awesome. So in terms of people who are here at the convention with us, I mean, we've got so many companies under one roof right now. Is there anybody here that you know about who's doing something that you find really interesting?
I think the blockchain expo, I think they're doing a lot of cool things. I think mostly it is about cryptocurrency and how. I think the game for 2018 is who can integrate their crypto economics well into their product. I think those are some of the companies are there which are very looking promising.
Awesome. Well, Vignesh, thanks so much for your time. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, pleasure.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.